Okay team, so here's a little screen tutorial. As you would have seen, your task is to create an infographic using an online design platform called Canva. Some of you will be familiar with that already, and I know that I've seen some of you using it in your classes, so you guys will be away. But for those who haven't used it before, here's a little tutorial on how to use Canva. So you've been given that task, creating an infographic around your carbon footprint, and on Tuesday you would have collected, or you've done a survey to collect some data so that you can see how your carbon footprint compares with the carbon, or the average carbon footprint for New Zealand. So you should have a screenshot or that information written down somewhere. If I click up in here, here's what that looks like for me. So that was the information that I collected, ready to go. So if I get back into Canva, so I'm going to talk you through how I took this template over here on the left and I turned it into my infographic sitting over here. So the first thing you'll need to do, if you already are in Canva, you can skip ahead on this tutorial a wee bit. If you haven't got into Canva, you'll need to click on that link which is in the classroom post, and if you can sign in, it gives you the option to sign in with Google. Sign in with Google and it's automatically going to pick up your school email address as the Google sign in, and it'll set you all up. So Canva will then be connected to the Google environment here, or your Google environment at Rolleston College, so you can use it further on down the track. So once you've done that, you'll end up with a bit of a screen like this. You'll have your login. As you can see, there's quite a lot of stuff that you can create in here. We're specifically looking at the infographics just over here. Give this one a moment. So when you first get into infographics, you'll end up with a whole lot of layouts that you can choose from. So we will scroll on down. Bear with me, it is quite a long way down, this template that I chose. Because our data that we've collected is kind of a compare and contrast between yourself and your data and the average for the area that we live in, I was looking through and I was looking for templates a little bit like this, where I had one side that could be me and one side that could be the average. So I sort of scrolled on down. I had a go, I tried a couple of different templates. So I had a go on a template a bit like this, tried to put some information in. I didn't quite like the look of it, so I then skipped on. I had a go with this template here, wasn't quite working for me. So I had a go at about 2 different templates before I found, with a bit of luck, this next one. Here we go, turning up here. So I clicked this one here, and this was a template that I thought I could work with. I quite like the idea of this planet down here, even though it is the sun. I thought that planetary shape could be quite interesting. This little button here, plus minus, I can zoom up and I can get into it. I can also scroll through it. Alright, so to start doing a little bit of manipulation, if you click on these various things here, you can start to move things around. So you can see how we can jump in there. If I want to edit this text, I just jump in. Carbon footprint. I can also change the shape of these text boxes to make it fit a little bit better. I can also highlight, actually I might need to shift this one around a little bit. I can also highlight over the text. I can change the size of the footprint there to make it fit. I also can click on these elements and I can delete these elements. I can get them out. If I click on this one here, I can also start to change the color of some of the images here to make them a little bit more interesting, or tweak them like that. And once again, I can click in and I can change this here. So one thing that you might need to do, or you more than likely will need to do, is to have a wee look at that color. There's a little video you would have seen around the element of art of color and what sort of an impact that has. There's also a little 20-second clip around emphasis, and emphasis can be done where changing the shape and the size and the scale. So therefore changing the size of your font, maybe changing the size of your objects, could be something important that you need to do for your work. So that's basically how you can play with what's already in your template, but you're not limited to that. You can also add stuff to your template template that or the piece that you're working on. So if we get rid of that, so we can add text and various different little how should we say, arrangements of text. I was just basically adding as in text, as in a little body of text. You notice that turns up in there, and then I can pick that up and I can shift it around, and I can also do some editing of that text as well. The other thing that I might want to do is to add in some icons. Free photos, you can add photos into it as well. You can look at the frames. Some of the sort of the graphics that you can add to it in Canva actually cost. Most of these icons here were free, so that was where I kind of started, and they kind of fitted in quite nicely with what I was looking at. So for example, if I want to add in this computer, I can pick it up, and then I can change the scale of it by making it bigger and smaller. And remember, that's emphasis. I might look to click, let's get rid of that satin. Let's go there, and so on. I can also play with the color just by clicking on this little button up here. Oops, orange, yellow maybe stands out a little bit more on that black background. So that might just be something that I add into there. So that's how you can basically have a bit of play and manipulate around with it. And that's how you can end up slowly working away and get yourself an infographic looking a little bit like this. I also added in more information to my infographic. So some of the learning that I'd been doing over the last couple of lessons, I've done a little bit of a Google search around what percentage of the atmosphere is actually CO2, and found out that it's actually only 1%. So I've put some of that information in there. Just to give a little bit more depth, background, more understanding, adding to what it is we're doing, and making that connection that CO2, it doesn't make up a huge part of the atmosphere, but it has a huge impact on it. So it doesn't take much for us to have an impact. Once you've created your infographic, you're going to need to download it. So if you click on here, these are the different file types. I recommend doing it as a PDF print. I want you to download it as that, and then you can store that on your device, and we can print that out. And you can also, and you're also going to upload it to the Connected 3 assignment that this will be. So this is what you'll need to upload and stick in and turn in as your work that you've done. And I think that is about it for working on your infographic. So good luck, and I'd love to see what you guys create.